Wonderful. So Dr. Sabrina Jackson is a native Detroiter. She got her master's degree in social work, and she is known as the people expert. Okay. She has had the privilege of speaking for McDonald's, the Tom Joyner Cruise, and the United Nations. She's seen weekly on Fox 2, not the other Fox. Fox 2 with Mental Health Mondays with Dr. Sabrina, writing national column in Kirby Magazine, Career Mastered Magazine, Beautiful Machine Magazine, and she's been featured in the movie Teen Marriage on Amazon Prime. So I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Dr. Sabrina Jackson.
I am so excited because for some reason I thought we would all be virtual, but I'm the only one virtual. So I'm excited about that because now I can see you and see what you're doing. So that has me excited. Today we're going to spend time talking about civil discourse. However, I want to call it something else. I want to call it the art of disagreeing well. Because the one thing that I absolutely know is that as humans, we're going to conflict. I don't care who you are, you have had the experience of conflict. So I want to start with a question. And my question is, what are words that come up for you immediately when I say difficult conversation? What comes up for you?
Argument.
Argument?
Opposition.
Opposition.
Confrontation.
Confrontation.
Discrimination.
Ooh, discrimination.
Aggravation.
Aggravation. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, the aggravation goes with that. And so,
Right.
any other emotions that may emote for you when you hear difficult conversations?
Anger.
Sensitivity.
Frustration.
Words like hate.
Defeat.
Hate, defeat.
Reaction and not response.
That's good. Reaction and not response. And so as we kind of unpack this today, I want us to think in two spaces. I want us to think, of course, of what we're doing at work and what you do with students and what you do with your coworkers. But then I also want you to flip over to your personal life. I want you to think about like if you're in a relationship with someone and they say, or they'll text you and say, oh, we got to have a conversation. Or I need to talk to you today. What comes up for you? Like, oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
Here we go.
Here we go. I thought we so all of those things are pieces to the puzzle of when we start talking about civil discourse. Because how do we have conversations that are difficult that we must have, but we don't have them in such a way that the person that we're talking to, we leave them bleeding or broken, or we leave bleeding or broken. And so you'll know this about me, and I'm just going to put it out there before I really dive in, is that I am a Bible girl. I believe in the Bible. So every now and again, a scripture might just jump out. It just may. Just may. And so the first thing that I was thinking about was that iron sharpens iron, but it should not cut.
Oh, nice.
So I should leave you better, not bleed.
Oh, I found it.
I should leave you better, not broken. Okay, that just popped up. So our goals for today are as follows. One, we're going to do a define of what civil discourse really is. So that's going to be the what of our conversation today. And then we're going to explore our styles. And that's going to be the who. Because once you know what you're working with, then you know how to work it. But oftentimes we try to work it our way and not the other person's way. And that's when the conflict occurs, because my way of navigating the world in conversation may be totally different than the other person's way. And they don't see my way, and I ain't trying to see their way. So we're going to explore our styles and what we bring to the table. Then we're going to apply a little thing called emotional intelligence. And that is our how. That is how we really get through this navigation of civil discourse. Then we're going to do a little practicing. And I love it because y'all all there. Y'all can practice together. And that's the do. This is how you do it. And then last, we're going to commit to compassion. And that is our why. Because we want to make sure that as a facility, as an organization, as people working with other people, people who are leading the charge and navigating how our students navigate this thing we call education. We want to do it with a sense of compassion and not just do what I say the way I say do it, because I don't know about you, but I had some professors that way and that didn't really work for me. But we want to make sure that we're not doing that. And so I love to start with this question. And the question is, and you can just please just be kind to one another because it's more of you than it is of me. But I really want to know what you think are the top 5 reasons why people fail at anything they do. Reasons why we fail at what we do.
Lack of discipline,
Lack of discipline.
lack of confidence.
Fear.
Okay, I heard fear, lack of confidence. I heard a male's voice, but I didn't hear what he said.
Poor preparation.
Poor preparation. Okay.
Lack of support.
Lack of support.
Lack of commitment.
Somebody said lack of commitment, and then I missed the other one.
Lack of planning.
Lack of planning.
And lack of understanding.
Lack of understanding.
Motivation.
Oh, I love that. Motivation. Motivation. Okay, I didn't hear that one.
Not trying. Not
Oh,
trying.
just not trying. Just give up. Just not trying. So I always ask this question when I do any topic, because what I learned is that my thinking around leadership is not just the title. It's not just the position. Leadership is simply somebody's following you. And oftentimes we don't know who's following us. There are people watching what you do, making a decision about what they're going to do. And so I study trends for leaders. And so there is an organization called Leadership IQ. Leadership IQ is an international firm that studies trends for leaders. And years ago, they had leaders that were saying it's hard to find and keep good help. And I'm sure many of us have been there before. And so they did this massive study about the top 5 reasons why people failed at their jobs. And as I looked at the top 5 reasons, I said, ooh, these really the top 5 reasons we fail at anything. And so the first reason and the top reason why we fail is coachability. Because how do you get better if can't nobody tell you nothing? And so what do we do when we get feedback we don't like?
Shut down.
Shut down.
Turn off.
No, I
Discounted.
Discounted, shut down, get defensive. Some people might cuss. Some people might cry. Some people might fight. And so there's so many things that we do when we get feedback that we don't like. However, we have to learn as mature grown people how to take feedback and implement the things that we need to implement from it. But sometimes what blocks us from that is how the person says it. So like I have a bonus mama. My bonus mama loves colorful language. Let me just put it that way. Everything she say, she gonna have a cuss word with it. And so because I'm a sensitive person naturally, oftentimes she'll say stuff and it'll hurt my feelings. However, what she said is still valid. what she said can still benefit me. So I have to learn how to separate what is said from how it's said. And that's huge with civil discourse. You have to be able to separate the two. The other thing that we do is that we can't wait to go and tell somebody what the person said to us. We want to go to, we want to go to our best friends. Can you believe that they said to me that I'm late? Well, if you late, you late. And then we want people to get on our side. Like, And so because I don't like them no more, then I expect my friend not to like them no more.
Absolutely.
Hot mess. That's a hot mess. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So we all have to ask ourselves first, am I coachable? So remember, I said I want you to use two lenses. I want you to do, are you coachable at work? Are you coachable at home?
That's heavy, because you might.
Y'all thought this was gonna be a boring training, didn't you? So that's the first thing is coachability. And so we all have to find out, how do we take and implement feedback gracefully? And so not only do we have to learn how to take it, then we got to learn how to give it.
In love.
In love. It's so funny. I'll share this quick story. My son is 32 and he just recently got married. And so whenever him and his wife invite me over for dinner, I feel like I'm being ambushed. I feel like they want to talk to me about what's going on with me because I'm single and I live by myself. So they like, well, what's going on with you? I said, I don't want to feel ambushed. And my son says, well, you are being ambushed, but it's an ambush of love. That's an ambush of love. So we all have to make sure that coachability is something that we grab hold to. The second reason why people fail is emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is seen when we lack the ability to control and manage our own emotions, or we push people till we push them over the edge. So we got to make sure that we can dive in to our emotional intelligence, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then the third reason I heard motivation. And motivation is seen when we lack the ability to reach our own highest potential. So those are the type of people that do just enough to get by. They'll get rolled up, but they won't get fired. They'll come, but they come in late. So you have to make sure that you're motivated to bring your A game to every game. And that's an inside job. It had nothing to do with people outside of you. So when we hear things like, well, I wasn't supported. Well, sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Sometimes you have to pat your own self on the back. Sometimes you have to wake up and say, all I do is win. Win. No matter what. Every time I walk into the building, everybody's hands go up. What? And they stay there. So you have to find for you what things are going to motivate you, get you in a space where you're not despondent or feeling despair or feeling that don't nobody care about you or don't nobody want to help you. Because at the end of the day, the only person that absolutely has to help you is you. Okay. I'm just saying. So motivation is key. Then number 4 reason why people fail is personality style or character necessary for the environment and the position. Oftentimes we'll hire for the position, but we don't think nothing about the environment. So the person can do the job, but they don't like people. Oh yeah, they good. They good at writing up a paper and all of that and assessing and researching, but they don't like people. They don't ever smile. They just don't have those social graces. And so all those things are important when we talk about in the things that we do when working with people. And then the last reason why people fail is the functionality or the skill set necessary to do a thing. And so in the workplace, we get a lot of training. We get training on how to do the policies. And, I heard y'all meeting when I first came in, giving feedback and all of that. You get all of that. But let's flip over to your home life. Did you get a manual on how to raise children?
Mine, I'm still waiting for.
Did you get a manual on how to be in a relationship? Even though there's tons of manuals out there, most people don't read them. So it's important to know that those basic skill sets will do well in the workplace, but we don't want nobody to say nothing to us in our home life until there's a crisis. But if we are proactive and not reactive, then we can navigate both spaces more effectively. So, what do you all think civil discourse definition is?
Being polite.
Being respectful, being polite.
The ability to recognize someone else's differences, differences unlike your own.
Differences unlike your own. I like that. So let me give you the actual definition. And I am going to send you these things so you'll have them for your notes and for your information. The respectful, constructive, and honest dialogue between people with differing viewpoints to promote mutual understanding and find common ground on a public issue. So that's the definition. The thing I think I like the most is honest and respectful. So just because I disagree with you doesn't mean that I have to hate you. It doesn't mean that I have to, when I see you, uh, roll my eyes and never speak, never smile, never be concerned about you just as a human and just as a person. So it is difficult. And I think that we have seen since social media allows people to throw the rock and hide their hand.
Yes, yes, it does.
Social media has allowed us to become much less social. Most people, especially younger people, don't really know how to socialize. Remember the art of the handshake?
Yep.
Mhm.
Have you shook a hand lately and you went, oh, when I hate the little wiggly little noodle kind of handshake.
Good.
So it's those type of things that's so important when we start thinking about this whole thing about how are we going to deal with differences. And so one of the things that I want to talk about now that we have our definition, the definition also involves listening to and considering other perspectives. So whew, articulating one's own ideas in a reasoned way and seeking to build civic trust rather than win a debate. So I have a great example. At home in Detroit, I heard Rabia reading about me, Professor Dr. Rabia, reading about me, and she said that I'm on Fox, and then she immediately says, but not that Fox. So immediately I thought, but what if I was on that Fox? So would that mean that what I have to say isn't valuable? I'm just saying, I'm not on that Fox. However, if I were, because sometimes we allow things that we think, things we don't agree with, to block the ability for us to learn something from somebody different. So I remember here at home, we used to have a show that came on Fox Local called Let It Rip. And Let It Rip was a show where they would take a topic and they would have differing viewpoints on that topic. And so I became the queen of Let It Rip. Oh, they was always getting me against somebody about a particular topic and all of that because I do love a good debate. However, there was a particular topic around should young children be allowed to learn how to shoot guns? And I felt like at a certain age was too young. That was my viewpoint. And then they had somebody from the NRA on the other side, and he really went in on about why you have this right to bear arms and all of that. And I just really didn't agree with him. But then something said to me, call him and have a discussion with him because maybe there's something that I can learn from his vantage point that I don't know and I'm not open to because I'm so shut down on with my way of thinking. And so one of the things that he shared with me, which I never knew, is the reason why we have the right to bear arms. It's not just to protect ourselves from each other. It's if we get into a situation with said government who has all of this artillery and we have to protect ourselves, we have the right to. I never thought of it that way. And so that helped me to see something, just that viewpoint that I never had. However, it did not change my viewpoint on whether I think young children should still have teaching them how to shoot real, real early. But anyway, so we were able to have civil discourse. And I sought it out. I didn't just wait for somebody to come to me. I started really thinking about how heated our exchange had and how it was making me feel. And I didn't want to stay in that space. I wanted to at least get an understanding different than my own. And because we live in this world with a whole bunch of differences, it's important that we're able to do that. And so I want to spend a moment talking about the difference of what it is to have civil discourse and what it ain't. So, what it is a tool for understanding. It's also focusing on an issue, not the person. That's big because we will disagree on an issue and then we hate the person. Well, the person might be cool people, they just disagree with you on that. And you may miss a wonderful opportunity to have a great relationship or friendship or colleague just because you disagree about something. And then a sign of community strength and a foundation for justice. So those are the things that it is. Now let me tell you what it's not. It is not tone policing, like keeping people's tone at a certain level to say that I'm being, you know, polite or whatever. No, sometimes people do get heated. Sometimes they do elevate in their conversation. But them elevating in their conversation does not mean that I still can't have the conversation. And then it's not avoiding the conflict. You cannot heal from a thing unless you are real about a thing. You can't heal from a thing that you won't actually reveal or shine a light on it. So conflict creates an opportunity possibly for a whole new way of thinking, a whole new way of doing something, a whole new way of processing through the conflict. It is also not forcing an agreement. So when I gave the example about the gun thing, even though I learned some things, it didn't force me to agree with him on that particular thing. It just gave me more context to deal with and to understand. But even if I understand it, doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And I don't have to be forced to agree with it. I always say that I don't stuff my values down other people's throat because other people have a right to their opinion. That's why we live in the United States. We have a right to our opinions. And so we can't force people to think like us. Because they have a right for their thoughts. Whether it's right or wrong, they have a right to it. And then lastly, it is not a sign of weakness if you're able to have civil discourse. A lot of times people think it is weak when you can talk to somebody or have a conversation with somebody that you know don't like you, or you know has said negative things about you, or you know has tried to stop you from getting a contract, or all of that. People do people. People be doing people. However, they should not make you not be who you are. Because at the end of the day, what's inside of you comes out. And if they do something to prick the negativity inside of you, that's on you, what you do with that. I give the example because I always say when you are in the public's eye, you have to have tough skin. So I remember someone wrote to me and said, "What is that on your head? It looks like a used mop." And I said, "Ooh, let me write back." And I wrote back and said, "Thank you so much for the question. It is actually called sister locks because in the African American community, when my hair grows out the follicle, it grows in a tight curl. We call that nappy." And in parentheses, I put, "and I'm so happy to be nappy." However, I do understand that some people may not like it. Some people may think it's ugly. Some people may think it's downright grotesque. But at the end of the day, I thank you for the question because I could have clapped back. I could have said, "Well, you don't like my hair. I ain't." Mm-mm, mm-mm. Because the one thing I'm not doing is changing my hair to appease somebody else. I love my hair. I love the color. I love the texture. I love it. And so I have to navigate the skin I'm in. But people have a right not to like it. And it should not make me hate the person because they don't like it. So we have work to do when it comes to this civil discourse. So now let's talk about the different styles of personalities and how they handle conflict. There's only four basic types of people. And I use a model called Essential Colors. Essential Colors is a personality assessment model designed to help you understand how you're wired and then how to deal with people who are wired differently. And so the four styles, I use color. The first color is blue. Blue people are people, they love people and people love them. They wear their feelings on their sleeve. If they're happy, you know it. If they're sad, you know it. And they pride themselves on relationships. So they're social in nature, they're compassionate, and they're just all about people. The second color is gold. Gold people are organized, structured, dependable people. They like rules. They like them so much they want to make them. And then after they make them, they want to enforce them. So they're the type of people that everything has a place and it's in its place. And they're also the type of people that if you're doing something that ain't right and they know it, they gonna tell you. They telling on you. They telling. And then there's green personalities. The green personalities are our intellectual people. They pride themselves on competency. A green person is a visionary. They're a problem solver. Things have to logically make sense to them, and if it doesn't, they're not doing it. And they don't care who's asking. And sometimes they come across like they don't necessarily like people because they feel like people can be irrational. And so if you become emotional and talking, and they'll go, "I'll wait till you finish all that." They're not emotional at all. And then the last color is orange. Orange people are our rule breakers and risk takers. They're charming, they're witty, they're the life of the party. The party don't get started till they show up. They don't like routine. They don't like sameness. And they ain't too crazy about a rule either. They'll break them on purpose. But orange people are necessary because they bring the fun, they bring the fire, they bring the magic, and we need all of that. But when we start looking at the four types, how they handle discord is different. Blue people tend to avoid conflict. They don't like conflict. They don't like for them not to get along with people, and they don't like for other people not to get along. So they're the type of people that'll go to one person and say, well, you know, Rabia, you know how she is. Let it go. Then they'll run over to the other person and go, now you know she crazy. And so they try to always have harmony in the place. And so they sometimes struggle with conflict because they really don't like it. And they are the ones that'll act accordingly to maintain the relationship. So sometimes they'll feel a certain way, but they're not going to say it because they want to just maintain the relationship. Goal people will tell you what they don't like. They'll tell you they're open to a conflict, but you got to have your information tight because when they come, they're going to have a list so they can check it off. Oh yeah, they're going to check it off, and don't expect them to be frivolous. Don't expect them to not be prepared because they are early starters. When it comes to a deadline, they're going to start early. They're going to know what's needed and they're going to get it done. And then the green personality in the conflict, they really will sit back and watch everybody quietly. And then when it's time, they'll tell everybody about what has been said, how it's been said, and then they created a whole new plan, a whole new vision on how to make it better. And the other thing about greens, they will have a way to make it better, give it to everybody, go home, think about it again, and then come back with a whole nother way of doing it better because they can always see how to make something better. And then the oranges. If they upset, you know it because they gonna cuss or they gonna fight or they gonna turn over tables or they because they are passionate about what they're talking about, and that passion sometimes can come across as aggression, and you have to teach them how to go from being aggressive to just I don't want to be aggressive. I just want to be assertive. I can assert myself without being aggressive. So when you know what you're working with, then you know how to navigate your discussion. So if I'm dealing with the blue, I know I need to spend some time making things personal, sharing things about me, asking about them because they're not necessarily concerned about the facts and all of that. They'll get to that, but they connect with people first. If you're dealing with a goal, you got to have your information tight. You got to have your information together. You have to do what you say because they believe in dependability. Don't show up late. Oh my God. If you're late, you got a problem because they believe if you're early, you're on time. And if you're on time, you're late. I know. I look at the goals in the room who just said, yep, you're late. I always say I never need a prop for this particular part of a presentation because people are going to show up as them. And when you start to describe them, they'll go, yep, tell them about me. They believe that. And then with the greens like to go deep. They like to study. You have to come across like you know what you're talking about. If you're just emotional and if you use the word feel, if you tell a green, oh, I was feeling, you shut them down. They're listening, cuts off. If you want to have a conversation with the green, start with I was thinking. Because when you say I was thinking, they'll perk up. Thinking about. And then with the oranges, you got to be quick. You got to make sure you let them know what you need. Let them know what the problem is. Let's get it done. So they'll want to just jump in. Let's try something. Let's try something new. Well, we don't have a plan for it. I don't care. Let's just try. So it's really important to know how you're wired, and then how to deal with people who are wired different. If you want to know what your color is, you can go to my website, sabrinajackson.com. All one word, sabrinajackson.com, and go to Essential Colors. You can take the test there for free.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So once you know what you're working with and you know how you're wired, then you start to think about how do I approach this person with this discussion? How do I make sure I'm not offending them? And how do I make sure that I'm not so offended? I have to check myself before I wreck myself. Sometimes I get offended too quickly. Just listen. Don't take it personally. Ooh, have y'all ever read the book, The Four Agreements?
Yes.
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 The four agreement.
Yes, that's my favorite book.
No.
Let me tell you something. The
No.
Four
Yes.
Agreements will change your life.
Yes.
It simply says if you do these four things, it changes trajectory of your life. One is to be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Like the young people say, clock it, clock it. Clock it. The second of the four agreements is to never take anything personally.
Mm.
Because even when someone does something specifically to you, it has more to do with what's going on inside of them than what's going on inside of you.
That's
it.
So if they mean, they mean. I ain't gotta be mean because they mean. If they calling me out my name, I don't have to answer to it unless it's sugar, honey, or baby.
He's working on it.
We love.
So the third in the four agreements is to never make assumptions.
Yeah.
That's big because when we make assumptions, we make an ASS out of you and me.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
When you make an assumption, you're making it off of limited information. If you want to know something, ask. So sometimes we don't even have the courage to ask because we've already built up in our mind what the answer is going to be. And I don't know about you, but I've had several situations where I thought one thing and the complete opposite was true. I was doing some consulting, traveling the world, working with a company, and I had heard that the CEO was calling around asking other consultants about me. Because people were calling me saying that he called and asked about me and what I did. And so my contract was almost over. So I made the assumption that he was trying to either terminate my contract or give me less money for my contract. So then finally he called me. And when he called me, I was salty. I was not pleasant. I'm not all this pleasantness you see right now. I was, hello. How you doing? I'm fine. You know, I had attitude. And so finally, I couldn't take it no more. So I asked him, I said, so you've been calling around asking about me? He said, yes, I have. He says, and I'm going to share something with you that no one else knows. And so I was preparing myself. I was trying not to cry. I was just preparing myself for the hit. And he said, I'm leaving the company. And I want to recommend to the board that you become my replacement. Now, I didn't want a job, trust and believe. However, think about all the time that I spent tripping,
Mm-hmm.
wasted energy that didn't have nothing to do with what I was thinking because I was making an assumption. Don't make assumptions. And then the last of the four agreement is just simply do your best and know that your best changes from situation to situation. I am a speaker and I speak for a living. However, I had COVID. When I had COVID, I was on oxygen. So when I started speaking again, I was trying to speak like I'm speaking now. And I still needed oxygen. So my best in that moment did not equate to the best without the oxygen. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand that if in that moment you did your best, that's all you can do. So all of us need to make sure we're living out the four agreements. Now, when we talk about the work of making sure we're able to have civil discourse, we need to do some internal work. And that internal work is one part of the 4 elements of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence has 4 different parts to it: self awareness, self regulation or self management, social awareness, where you have to make sure what's going on around you, and then relationship management. All of those things are necessary, but the 2 that's the most necessary when we talk about having this civil discourse is self awareness, know your triggers. What makes you heat up or shut down? What's the thing that gets up under your skin? What's the thing that if they say it, somebody gonna have to hold you down? What is it being, do you feel that way if you feel like you're being interrupted? So think about when you've in a conversation and the conversation is a conflictual conversation and you trying to get your point across and the person just interrupts you. Could you just wait until I'm finished, please? Or feeling dismissed. You done said all you had to say and the person go, okay. Is that a trigger for you? Seeing multitasking. So it's you talking to the person, but they doing 3 other things. I do that sometimes. Then I always say, well, I can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. And then just because I am looking at something doesn't mean that my ears aren't working. Because I hear with my ears. And so, but I do have to respond to the person that I'm talking to. Some people just can't take it. So I have to put down my phone, put down my iPad, and give the person my undivided attention. And so sometimes we have to check ourselves again before we wreck ourselves. And then think about when you get a text message and you don't know what it means. Because people talk in text language and I don't. Give me a whole sentence, please. I remember the first time my son texted me and said LOL, it took me an hour. Trying to figure out what LOL meant. And then finally I just called somebody and said, what does it? Laugh out loud. I said, okay. I didn't know. And so sometimes when you're in those spaces, those can be triggering for you. So you have to be self-aware. You have to know what your triggers are in conversations with other people, because oftentimes when we begin the conversation, do we even set ground rules? Do we even say that, okay, during this time of conversation, we got to make sure these things are present? That's a good tool. And then self-regulation. Self-regulation, this is your virtual superpower. Use it. Take a slow, visible breath. Calm yourself down. Turn your camera off for 10 seconds, especially if you're like me, if we're on a Zoom or whatever, and you know that you're getting heated, maybe, turn your camera off so you can get your face together. Because my mother used to tell me all the time, I do not have a poker face. If I'm in a meeting and I'm feeling agitated, my face gonna show it. So sometimes you have to make sure that you get yourself under control. You self-police so that other people don't know that what they're saying is triggering for you. And sometimes you may even need to say to the person, I need a moment to process what you just said. Let me think about it for a minute before I respond. Because if you respond in the moment, it may not be pretty. So again, you have to make sure that you're doing the internal work necessary to show up fully to have that difficult conversation. Now, some things that escalates communication. You statements. I don't like when you do this. You get on my nerves. You don't do what you're supposed to do. You. That could escalate the communication. So we have to stay away from the you and get over to the I. And then, so you don't want to say you always interrupt me in the meeting. even though they may always interrupt you in the meeting. You never respond to my emails. Sometimes people never respond to your emails. And so sometimes email may not be the best way to conversate with that person. It may be another way. And so sometimes we need to stop and have the conversation on how do we have this discourse. And then you clearly didn't read my report. You clearly, no, that's an assumption. And we don't want to make assumptions because when we make assumptions, it will escalate the communication. Now, some things to do to de-escalate the communication. That's an I statement. How many of you really use I statements? Raise your hands. Let me see. I love honesty. I love it because you said sometimes I do, but sometimes I'll be like, you, look, you done got on my nerves now. So you want to make sure that you're doing the I statements. So for me, what I do, especially, because remember I said, look on two sides. What I'm doing in the workplace is easy for me in the workplace. It's not as easy for me at home. Because I always feel the people that I live with and I love get the the not so nice Sabrina. They get, especially my poor child. I let him have it. You. Instead, I have to step back and do an I statement. I feel and say what the emotion is. When? What is the specific behavior that makes me feel that way? And then why? Because, and the impact on me. Or, so when I had the discussion with my son about the ambushing, I feel ambushed when. And his wife, his poor little wife, I love his little wife because she's so sensitive. And she went, Mom, we don't want you to feel that way. My son didn't give a flying nothing. He said, yeah, we are ambushing you, but it's an ambush of love. And I was like, I don't like it. But we have to be able to de-escalate the conversation. And then some visible tools for active listening. Now, this is what I say about listening. Listening is a skill. Hearing is a bodily function. I can hear you. That doesn't mean I was listening. So how do we make sure in the situation that we are actually listening? So what's some things do? You first need to paraphrase. Paraphrase, so what I'm hearing you say is, instead of jumping into your response. That is active listening, paraphrasing. And then you clarify. And clarify, can you tell me more about that? Or I'm thinking this, I might be a little off, so can you give me more explanation or more information so that I get clarity? And then validate. I can see why you feel so strongly about this issue. So you want to feel, when you're on the opposite side, I want to feel heard. I want to feel that what I've said reached you to a point that you see and you feel my passion around it without us fighting about it. So do you all do active listening?
Not as often as we
Oh, we got some work to do.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some work to do because it should become almost like second nature to you. That's why I wanted to start the conversation with both sides. What you do at work and then what you do at home. Because if you're doing it in both places, it becomes easier for you. My son works for Chick-fil-A. He's an owner, y'all. A brand new owner. He just graduated this past Monday. But one of the things that I've noticed is that the training for Chick-fil-A in customer service is stellar.
They said.
It's stellar. But they got their training when they first started from the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz-Carltons customer service. It's just, if you've never been to a Ritz-Carlton, oh my God. I remember getting on the elevator, and a man was on the elevator, and he says, and Miss Jackson, and I'm like, how he know what my name is? But they got little walkie-talkies, they tell each, so like, they see you going, and the person where you going, when you get there, they know who you are. Sometimes I want to go where everybody knows my name. And they're always glad I came. I love that. I know I like songs, baby, don't mind. But I love that. So what I've noticed about my son, like if I ask him to do something and I thank him, I say, well, thank you for doing it. And he'll say, it's my pleasure. He says it all the time. He doesn't just say it in the workplace, although that's where he got it from. He says it all I hear him say it with his wife. I hear him say it with his cousins. I hear him say it. It has become ingrained in him. So we have to ask ourselves, what things do we need to do so it's ingrained in us, so that when people get us, they get the best of us and not the irritated us, the frustrated us, the I don't like what you said us. How can I use these skills all the time? Because what I learned about grown people, grown people, I'm going back to the very beginning of this talk, ain't coachable. We don't, woo, we struggle with talking about things, especially about us. Now I could tell somebody else, but then if I have to sit in the hot seat, it don't feel good. So then how do you process it in such a way that it doesn't make you feel bad, that you take it as a learning opportunity? Because at the end of the day, the number one thing that's going to happen in our life is change.
Mhm.
So who you were the first day you started your job there is not who you are today. But the question is, are you better or are you worse? So you have to ask yourself. And so I tell people all the time, self-assessment is necessary. When you look at how you are doing what you do in the workplace, how you're engaged with your coworkers, how you're engaged with the students, what they say about you. Is it positive? Because you know how we are. We'll talk about each other, it'll get back to us, and then we'll come up with reasons why they wrong in their assessment of us. But I say this, you can never see the picture when you're inside the frame. So when you're inside the frame and you're having the discourse, you just see what's right there around you. But somebody outside can look at the whole thing. That's why coachability is so critical, because you can't see everything. You don't see how people are responding to you all the time. You don't see you the way you think you see you. This is the thing that I have an idea for you. Because I gave you the information to go and take the test to find out what color you are. And it's a self-assessment. But then I want you to put on your big people britches. And I want you to give the information and the link to somebody else, but have them take it on you.
What color can it be?
Oh, baby. Because I will say this to you. I thought that that most people think I am. Listen, Rabia knows me, so I think she knows my colors, but I don't know. Rabia, what color am I?
You are orange to me.
Okay. I love the way you said that. I love the way you said that. You said that I'm an orange to you. And why do you say I'm an orange?
Because you just you're just so creative and you just spontaneous and you don't give a damn and you just out there. I don't know, you're just so exciting to me.
That's so funny because orange is actually my third color.
Wow, interesting.
But my two colors, my top two colors are tied. So I'm a blue green tied. So the blue in me loves people. I love people. I love what I do because I get to do it with people. I get to meet new people. I love it. And I am pretty sensitive. So it's interesting that Rabia said that I don't give a damn because I really do. I just don't show it because my second color and the tie color is green. And greens are good at keeping their emotions to themselves. They can feel very deeply, but they don't show it. They are the kings and queens of never let them see you sweat. And so, and greens are, I am a ferocious learner. I love information. I love acronyms. I love create. So that's when, Rabia said that I was creative because I'm using all my knowledge and I pride myself on competency. I'm not going to talk about something that I don't know because I don't ever want to come across like I don't know. But that's the green in me. But one point behind it, just one, is my orange. So I see why my orange, people think I'm orange. So my son, because I was telling somebody about the orange in me and da 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 da, and he says, "Well, Ma, I ain't never see the orange in you when I was growing up because as a parent, I use more of my goal skills because I had to set rules. I had to have order. I had to have consequences. And so as a parent, in that context, I was much more gold than I am for real. I'm really not gold, but I know that we all have all four colors in us. They're just at different levels. And so I tell people the work begins after you take the assessment and you let somebody else assess you, because then you need to learn how to activate the whole you and not just the parts of you like. Because the more blended you are, the more balanced you are, the better you are at navigating all your relationships and not just the easy ones, the ones that you get along, but those challenging ones, the ones that I want to scratch your eyes out. Those ones too, you can do a better job at. So it's important that we know how we're wired and then how to deal with people who are wired differently. And I think I am almost done. I'm almost done. I have a minute. Because did we start on time? I think we did. Okay. So I have any questions for me? Because I am done. I hope this information was helpful. I am going to send you these notes because I have to add some things because I just said some stuff off the top of my head that I want to add so that I make sure everything I said you got. But you'll get that. Please go and take the test. Please know that it's important that you're coachable. Please know that on a regular basis, you need to check yourself so you don't wreck yourself. Know that difficult conversations are a part of what we do, is a part of what we have to do, but it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be irritating. It doesn't have to make us anxious. If we have the mindset is when I get on the other side of this conversation, it's going to be for our good, not just my good. So I want to thank you for having me today. It's so funny I can't hear y'all clapping. That's so funny. I see y'all clapping, but I can't hear. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Any
questions?
questions for me?
Are we
recording that?
Yes, we are.
It's recorded.
Yes.
Are y'all gonna go back and listen to it?
We have a few questions, Dr. Jackson.
I see a question.
Phyllis, and then Gwen, and then
So, Dr. Jackson, how do you get, when I say people, our people are students, primarily we serve the students. How do you get students to respond to you? I've seen a shift before COVID and now, and sometimes you'll talk to them and they just look at you. And how do you get them to respond without you seeming like you're trying to be like, without you not just screaming at them and saying, you keep saying, I'm asking a question, and they'll just kind of look at you. How do you respond to that without seeming angry or?
This is so good. That's a good question. And let me say this. It's important to know that all of us experienced trauma
Mhm.
during the pandemic. And many people have not healed from the trauma. And so what you see is a trauma response. And so it's important to get tools and tips on how to deal with the trauma response issue. So that's a whole nother talk show. So what I will do is send you, and I can send a list of specific trauma responses. Because let me give you an example of something that I talked about at a school once. Kids were coming back to school, high school, and you know how at the beginning of like the first day, the teachers would put on the board, tell us how you spent your summer. That was a trigger for some kids. So sometimes what we're asking may even be triggering. And so we have to figure out different ways to say the same thing so that it's not triggering. And sometimes us just asking the question out loud, the person has that brain fog going on. Sometimes you may have to ask the question and let them write it. Because writing is different than if I have to come up and say something. So we have to look at the different ways that people can communicate with us rather than just saying it or telling us. So maybe do a little poll where everybody gets to ask, answer, because I know they have all that technology where people can ask the question and then you can give your answers or response right there. And that's another way of engaging the student without you feeling like you yelling at them or try to make them talk, because some people really may still be traumatized.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next question.
Phoebe?
You talked about social grace, and I wanted to ask if you feel like that is something that could be learned or something that can be taught that for people to actually develop that grace.
What was the first part of the question?
Social grace.
Social grace, can it be learned or
Can it be taught?
can it be taught and learned or not?
It can absolutely be taught. Oh, absolutely. If there's there's an organization called uh, Committee for Children. That's the name of the organization. But they did a study around conflict management. And one of the things that they found in most of the conflict management models was that what was missing was empathy. It's the ability to stop and look at it from the other person's point of view. And so in their model, they teach young people social graces. They teach them how to say thank you. They teach them how to check their own feelings and don't just give an outburst. And so all of those things can be taught, but people have to be willing. One goes back to what I said at the beginning, to be coachable. You got to be coachable. And so I do have a class that I teach, uh, 7 ways to take feedback gracefully. Because most people don't know how to take feedback, especially if it's feedback you don't like, that you're gonna have an attitude. How do you do that? So those things can be taught. You just have to have a good teacher. Any other questions? Was that helpful?
Yes.
Okay, good. And
Ms. Gwen says she
I'm
was.
good.
I guess that's it.
that's it? No more questions?
Excellent, thank you
A lot
so
of questions we
much.
cannot ask, honestly. A lot of questions we cannot ask, like.
Like what?
Private.
Private session.
You have private sessions?
Can you have a private session?
You do mentorship?
You do mentorship, can you have a
I
private?
do, I do coaching sessions. I do coaching with people. Absolutely. And you can, and you can see all that on my website. But yeah, I think that it's important when you find people that resonate with you, that when they say something, it touches you. It makes you think that to connect with that person. So all of us should have people, everybody, because my pastor always says every tow truck needs a tow truck. Because if the tow truck breaks down, who coming to get it?
Thank you.
That's it.
Another tow truck. So if we're teachers, teachers need teachers.
Makes sense.
Parents need parents. People need people. So I'm gonna end on this. The reason that, because people ask me this all the time, what makes you a people expert? I was being introduced some years ago by, I was going to be on a talk show, and the lady was introducing me, and she says, well, she does this and she does this, and then she said, oh, she's just a people expert, and it stuck. But then the Holy Spirit gave me the tagline that goes with it. So I am a people expert because I help people with people, even if that person is themselves. Because oftentimes we think it's somebody else with the problem, and it's really us standing in the need of some help. And that's what I do. So thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Smooches. Did you guys enjoy that?